You know what we didn't see much of in kids' cartoons back in the 90s? Gay people. Now, before you start typing your comments to tell me how your favorite cartoon character was secretly a gay-coded icon, no. I mean 100% confirmed fruity cartoon fat. Don't worry, I'm allowed to say that. Despite the US government going out of its way to slowly but surely strip away protections from LGBTQ+ youth and adults during Pride Month this year, what few protections we even had in the first place anyway, queer folks like myself have at the very least been lucky enough to see an uptick in representation in family-friendly cartoons starting in the 2010s. Because God forbid the next generation be taught that people who might be different from themselves deserve basic human respect too. Big bald men in their 50s who probably beat their wives can cry about it all they want. Fuck him up! The more kids learning the value of tolerating folks with traits that might be different from their own, the better. There's plenty of gay and trans reps to point at in the realm of adult animation from the 90s and 2000s, some positive, some not so much. But back then, kids simply weren't allowed to even be made aware that their friend could have two dads or two moms. A kid would explode if they found out. We don't want our kids exploding now, do we? If the adults could hardly even take the time to understand the queer folks existing around them, why would they even bother informing the little ones? Ignorance is bliss, they always say. The further back in time you go, the harder it is to find any sort of LGBTQ+ reps in family-friendly cartoons. But if you think it simply wouldn't have ever even been possible to find such a thing decades before gay marriage would even become legal, I want you to think again. I promise that we're still talking about gay tunes, but back in 1996, Crystal Dynamics dropped a point-and-click adventure game on the original PlayStation and Sega Saturn called Blazing Dragons. I actually owned this game as a kid, though funnily enough, my mom, who barely plays anything that isn't straight Google Play Store garbage, loved this game way more than I ever did. I do have fond memories of this game, exploring and messing around, clicking on random things aimlessly, watching my mom play through the story, but this kind of game was way too complicated for my simple 6-year-old mind that ran off of nothing but rambunctious youthful energy and chicken nuggets. Basically, anything more complicated than putt-putt wasn't happening.
Papa save the zoo! Papa save the zoo! Papa save the zoo from the people who...
While the game itself is pretty interesting and would probably be worth talking about another time, its release coincided with a cartoon show of the same name, Blazing Dragons. Blazing Dragons aired 2 seasons worth of episodes from 1996 to 98 in the UK, Canada, and France. It also had reruns going into the early 2000s on Toon Disney in the US, but despite the fact that I watched that channel all the time as a kid, I never caught the show for some reason. It's largely your average episodic cartoon comedy you'd expect to see at the time. The basic synopsis of the show is that it takes place in a fictional version of medieval England in the Kingdom of Camelot, which is ruled by a wacky group of anthropomorphic dragons, and in most episodes, they have to defend their kingdom from the evil, dread Count Geoffrey de Bouillon, oppressor par excellence of the poor and weak. Yes, that is actually his full title. And unlike most medieval fantasies you see out there, the dragons are the good guys and our villains are the humans. A pretty fun twist. This show cares very little about story and utilizes every possible silly scenario the writers could think of for the sake of comedy. It's not the kind of comedy show that's gonna make you laugh your ass off constantly, really, but it does feature plenty of grin-inducing, intelligently written comedic writing and timing, thanks largely in part to the show being co-created by one of the guys behind Monty Python, Terry Jones. That intensely stupid yet clever style of writing that put Monty Python on the map is oozing out of this series too. Almost every character is a complete fucking moron, but still manages to spout out lines clearly written by somebody skilled in smart comedy that exists in a world of pure imbecility, which as a lifelong Invader Zim fan, is one of my favorite approaches to comedic writing. While the characters' names in the game and the TV show are largely the same and they do have similar traits and personalities, their designs are simplified in the cartoon, which I'm sure made it much easier on the animators. And I personally think it's for the better. These gormless freaks with 4 legs and 2 arms, I hate them. These blazing dragons can blaze in the fires of hell for all I care. I much prefer the typical furry, scaly, whatever you want to call them designs. I don't care if my furry Arias is biased, I find it way more appealing. I think that most of the major characters in the show are equally entertaining. King Allfire is your typical dim-witted king whose only goals are to maintain his kingdom and please his self-centered and demanding wife, Queen Griddle. And it makes me so happy that the queen is voiced by a man, kind of like Linda Belcher.
Get your own catalogue, wench!
Do not declare them wenches, my lord.
The kingdom is defended by the Knights of the Square Table, consisting of its leader, Sir Loungelot, Sir Blaze, the smartly dressed and fashionably late. I'll definitely have more to say about him soon enough. Sir Bernavere, the overly educated, Sir Galahot, the proper, and Sir Hotbreath, the not-so-proper. The latter two which sadly passed away between seasons because the writers always struggled to find any use for them whatsoever.
Also, I just needed to add that the fucking room that all these knights come out from in the pilot episode looks exactly like the character switching room with the doors that have their initials on them in Mario 64 DS.
You also get a little extra comedic relief from the conjoined twin jesters Cinder and Clinker, and amongst the plethora of silly pun names, Count Geoffrey's Evil Knights 1, 2, and 3. Yes, that's these guys' names. It's perfect, actually. Our main heroes are the lowly squire and aspiring inventor Flicker, whose above average intelligence and respect for the knight's code, which greatly exceeds that of the actual knights he serves, often ends up winning the day, which the greedy bastard Sir Loungelot is always more than happy to take all the credit for. In Season 1, Flicker is often paired with the monarch's daughter, Princess Flame. These two play off of each other so well and are honestly really cute together, so it's just a shame that Princess Flame's role was diminished in Season 2, when episodes were cut in half to 11 minutes from 22. While occasionally the show can resort to your basic overdone, "Whoa, what a future invention and medieval old time, wouldn't that be like totally fucking crazy, guys?"
Oh, pooh! We'll be here until someone invents indoor plumbing.
Hey, that's a good idea, Sir Blaze. Oh, shut up!
There are a bunch of other things that stood out to me about this show that I wanted to talk about after watching all 26 episodes. At this point, I know you're probably at the edge of your seat wanting to hear about gay dragons, so I'll start with something related.
No one's going anywhere. The evil Count Geoffrey! Countess Geoffrey, is it?
I have never seen a cartoon with so much cross-dressing in my entire life. Blazing dragons, more like blazing drag queens. I swear, it felt like just about every other episode featured guys cross-dressing in it. My favorite thing is just how casual the show is about it. In most cartoons, cross-dressing or gender bending is made out to be some sort of big deal that's for a major gag to point and laugh at, or it's the sole focus of an entire single episode. Nah, these guys are just constantly doing it for the hell of it, and I fucking love it. The only exception I could really find is the episode Knights and Nitresses, where Flicker has to dress up as a lady knight to help Princess Flame out with her plans. But otherwise, I was just sitting there, watching, patiently waiting for a character to start cross-dressing for no particular reason in each episode, and I'd just start clapping and cheering like a big idiot every time it happened. These fellas just can't stop looking fabulous, to the point that I was forced to make the patent-pending Blazing Dragons cross-dressing counter. TM. That's not to say that there's any actual allusions to transness going on here, but I really do respect a cartoon from this era featuring some gender non-conforming stuff that isn't just there to be mocked or really even played up for big laughs. The Knights of the Square Table get a 10 out of 10 when it comes to being confident men that can rock a dress. This show has 0 story arcs between episodes, but I really do love some of the visual gags that escalate over time. The vast majority of the kingdom's populace are the serfs, extremely poor peasants who have to deal with Count Geoffrey and his goons taking advantage of them and stealing what little they have left in this world. Along with the dragons too, who do what could be best described as the bare minimum to protect them. The first few times we see Geoffrey, his castle's kinda old and crusty, but there isn't much else of note at first. But then after a few episodes, we discover that the castle is completely dilapidated and falling apart. I guess he never thought to use any of the gold he keeps stealing to pay for renovations. He starts doing the most ridiculous, crazy shit with the borderline enslaved serfs, like stacking them up to keep the castle ceiling from crumbling, or shoving a bunch of them into a hole in the wall to keep a draft out. That, along with how every serf looks almost identical to each other, is just such clever visual comedy, and in a way, it represents how these poor guys are seen by the elite in this world. Aside from my childhood connection to the video game and the funny dragons, the main man of the hour was one of the big reasons I even decided to check out this show in the first place. Sir Blaze, not the cat, is gay. Possibly the only, but maybe just one of the few 100% confirmed gay characters I've ever seen in a 90s kids cartoon. I can't think of any other examples, but please, if there's any others, tell me. But the writers never outright just tell the audience that he's queer. The way that they went about it is as clever as it gets. Blazing Dragons' theme song has some choice lyrics when describing the Knights of the Square Table.
We swear to uphold the code of the square table. We're straight and true and good and kind, and we're very good at knitting.
Ignoring the fact that men knowing how to knit is awesome, notice what Sir Blaze is doing when they sing "We're Straight."
Oh, we're straight, oh, we're straight.
This is about as solid a confirmation as you could possibly get back then. My respect for the creators of the show is through the roof when it comes to their depiction of Sir Blaze. Does he fall into some gay stereotypes? Yes, absolutely. He's very effeminate, flamboyant. Seriously, just look at that sassy stance. Has great fashion sense, looks mighty fine in a maid outfit, and at the end of the day, he's not the strongest fighter. But while King Allfire doesn't particularly care for Blaze because he has a hard time understanding his son-in-law, everybody else is completely chill with him. He is a bit of a mama's boy, but not to such an extreme degree that implies his effeminate nature is because of his upbringing or anything like that. While Blaze is indeed a knight because he wants to be one of the guys, basically, he's much more interested in decorating, fashion, and dance than brutish fighting and questing. Generally, throughout the show, nobody has a problem with Blaze over who he is, which is super refreshing. The only exception to this is highlighted in Blaze's most important episode in the series, Hermits and Heroes. Because Blaze isn't naturally as tough or masculine as his peers, in this episode they do play up his fellow knights poking fun at him over his weak points to create some conflict in the episode. A lesser, or more aggressive cartoon would have told the audience that Blaze needs to pull himself up from his bootstraps or become a more masculine, manly man to prove himself worthy of being a real knight. Luckily, Blazing Dragons is not such a show. By the end of this episode, Blaze manages to save the day by utilizing his own skills in cooking and dance, the latter which allows him to be more nimble in a fight than everyone else. The important lesson here is that everyone is built differently, with unique traits that we're simply born with. We just can't force each other to change these inherent traits to fit a predetermined form that's expected of us. Blaze is the type who would probably prefer to stay home and cook and decorate, but he can respectably hold his own in a fight in his own way, which is really awesome. He is a massive, fabulous F-slur, but he's on the same level as everybody else. We even get your typical Cupid love arrow episode gone wrong, where he keeps shooting the wrong targets. He accidentally ends up hitting Sir Bernavere, who falls madly in love with Cinder and Clinker. These are all men, guys. And Princess Flame in response is just like, oh damn, didn't know he had it in him. She doesn't call out any of the sudden gay love as weird or unusual because she has no reason to. Until other folks start falling in love with inanimate objects, but that makes sense. The show is just so casual and chill and kind towards topics like this, and I just can't help but appreciate it for that. What is a shame though is that my fellow Americans were big old pussies when it came to the positive messaging in this show, because of course we had to censor all this sweet content. It's hard to gauge exactly how much censoring happened when the show aired on Toon Disney in the US, but according to what I could find, a lot of scenes involving Blaze and him in particular wearing women's clothing were cut. How they even managed to cut all that content out is beyond me, considering he's in the show quite a lot. It was censored to the point that they even avoided mentioning his existence in this bumper ad. Gross and sad, but completely completely unsurprising for the time. There's a lot that I really like in Blazing Dragons, and if you enjoy silly 90s cartoons like this, I definitely recommend it. It's not the best cartoon ever made, but it's certainly above average with its clever writing and commentary, some surprisingly progressive ideas, excellent, like really good, fun voice acting, and just the right smidge amount of edge, which was, of course, also censored by Toon Disney because fun isn't fucking allowed in Disneyland.
Huzzah! What luck! A donkey.
The show isn't without its flaws, like the sudden style change between seasons is kind of jarring, and while I totally get they had to restructure the show to drop some characters, make some characters more irrelevant to benefit the shorter segments in season 2, some of the ones that got dropped I really liked, like Princess Flame. You can also clearly tell that the show was animated in good old Canada. In fact, the second my artist friend joined VC in Discord while we're watching this show, the first question he asked was this made in Canada? It's just so obvious considering all of the ridiculous scene transitions, and the sound effects can be really overbearing. Not quite Johnny Test levels of bad though, and honestly they're kinda so dumb and unfitting that they horse you back to being hilarious. Some of these stupid sound effects are so unfitting and dumb that they had my friend and I laughing super hard in Discord.
I mean, gratitude.
In season 2, they also tried to expand on what was possible with the episodic stories by forcing the dragons to quest to different countries in a lot of episodes, but honestly, I just preferred when they stuck to the main setting in Camelot or just in England. A lot of the single episode characters they came up with just didn't do anything for me. Throughout the whole show, I vastly preferred when they just stuck with the main cast. Wait, what the hell is Popeye doing
Slow
here?
me down, freak.
And while I'd say most of the episodes are really good, they're not all winners.
Look.
What is he saying?
Yeah, make of that what you will, but you can only expect so much from a nearly 30-year-old cartoon. It gave us a fruity-ass gay dragon who's a positive force in a cartoon aimed at families when that wasn't supposed to even be possible, so I consider that a huge win for Blazing Dragons. Alright, here's the lineup. I await your fuck, marry, kill, ignore results in the comments.
I'm warning you with peace and love, wear a dress.